right smack in the middle of the election, which, as we kind of thought and were prepared for, is not decided yet. So they are still counting a whole lot of votes and ballots, and states are undecided. So, yep, we just kind of figure going to be hanging out, seeing what's going on out there. We'll take a look around the market, see if there are any kind of clues as to what's going on. It has been interesting out there, and we'll dive right in. Before we get to that, I just want anybody to know anything more about me. They can come over here to profitpilot.com. Uh, the last newsletter I was writing was "'Tis not the season" because, well, we have the election coming up. So even though I've been seeing a lot of the type of technical setups and the things that the market has actually been following the rules that I have established for my subscribers and those who like to trade the Moxie method, those have all been working. But I have just been mostly sitting in cash because I don't want to be dealing with the uncertainty of what's going on with the election. It can kind of keep going anyway, and anything can change. So we'll kind of keep digging in there. Looking at the SPY, the market has been moving up. In a technical sense, I've been talking to my subscribers about this for actually a few days, because going from last week into this week, we could see that price was basically getting oversold. And good morning, Imran. That price was also coming down into this double bottom area. And we could also see that price was at the lower third ATR. We could also see that price was oversold as far as getting away from the 8 and on the hourly 50 and all these kind of things. And then as far as price actually turning around and moving up, followed my rule right here. This is a 15-minute setup when price actually holds the 15-minute 50 with the Moxie indicator above 0. And so far it's been doing quite well following that. But again, the election's here. I'm not wanting to be placing any bets. The only one I actually have going on right now is NEO, and NEO has been just an absolute dream. So very, very happy about that. All the subscribers are enjoying that one too. And you know what? Right now it's just a good time to not really care. I'm not upset. I'm not, FOMOing. I'm not really concerned that I'm missing out on a move like this, because it could have been a different direction, and I'd be more upset if I was losing money than missing out on money right now. So that's kind of my standpoint of what's going on. And as far as where do we go from here, right? Where might we go? We still don't know what the election is going to do. We still don't know all the, I guess, the House or the Senate. That's still kind of decided. We are going to talk about the cannabis industry, because that sector seems to be getting ready for some activity because more states have been legalizing cannabis. In fact, I heard that my state, Arizona, legalized cannabis, so that's going to be interesting. We'll get into that next. And as far as the market goes, if the market is going to keep moving up, I'll show you what I'm looking for. Let me kind of keep zooming here on the daily and the hourly. So in order to keep going up, I'm really looking for a pullback. Why? Because, well, price is coming into this previous price area right here on the daily, so it's going to be some natural resistance. You can also see that price is way outside of the third ATR on the hourly chart. It's kind of an overextended type metric. So I look at that and say, yeah, that's kind of too far up there. Just like how I was showing people that, when you get to the lower third ATR, it tends to bounce. So it tends to pull back when it gets up there. And what I want to see for a longer duration setup is just like here, where we saw price actually come down and bounce off of the 15-minute 50 with the Moxie indicator above 0. I want to see the same thing here on the hourly chart. I want to see price come down into the hourly 50 or even sideways, however it wants to do it. I want to see price actually come into and bounce off of the hourly 50 just like it did a few weeks ago right there, and I want to see the Moxie indicator above 0. Now, some of you may be asking, okay, well, what is this Moxie indicator? How can I get it? What's going on with that? That's where you come over here to profitpilot.com, click on services, and that's where you can find more information and sign up about the subscription. So subscribers, I lead them, I talk to them all about this, how to trade, what I'm doing, they follow me. And then the classes, I teach you how to do the kind of trading, so if you want to do your own thing, and because moments like this I can't explain everything, and then that's where you can pick up the indicator, the scanner, and all the other Moxie tools that are involved. Yeah, Sonny, thanks. I'm going to be on a road trip starting tomorrow, so I'm kind of okay with the election, still being a little crazy, not being decided. I'm not going to be putting on any bets. I got a road trip coming up tomorrow that I'm going to be doing. But in the meantime, since we're going to be taking a look around the markets, go give me some tickers. Let me know if there's anything that you guys are looking at, some sectors that maybe I haven't been seeing, or something you're like, hey, I think something's going to be happening here. Maybe it's election related, maybe it's not. The other thing I'm going to be looking at on the daily chart, and this is going to be more about the price and the moving averages, is I want to see the 8, which is the blue line, cross over the 21, which is the orange line. what you'll see is we're still a little bit far from that. And for those of you who know my trading style and whatnot, this is what I call the arch of the foot, because here's your leg, here's your heel, this is the arch of the foot, which is generally the first move from low to high, and then typically what happens is price pulls back a little bit, wants to retest the lows. We don't know which lows, we don't know how far the pullback wants to be, but the concept is that it wants to come back and retest some support, and then if it holds, then we get price to move up, and that will be the start of a new trend. That would also coincide with price coming down or going sideways and meeting up with that hourly 50 that I want before price then starts to move up. So this is great, cool, that price has been moving up even during the middle of this election and the uncertainty. So if it's going to continue, I really want to see a pullback to test support and confirm that this is going to go up. Otherwise, if this thing rolls over and starts to break below these moving averages, then we're going to see some downside. But we're not there yet, and if we're going to be seeing long, I'm going to have to keep just waiting and watching for some more developments. So that's why I'm like, this is fine. We'll wait. We'll give it some days. It still needs some work before I can actually prove that we're in an uptrend. All right. Yeah, David, yeah, I know. Well, welcome out there in Goodyear. I think I'll be driving kind of nearby. Let's see, XPEV. So, along with NEO, yeah, okay. Well, yeah, kind of caught my eye on this one. So, XPEV, we're looking at the electric car, the electric vehicle space, and I believe XPEV is it Japanese? Am I correct with that? I haven't memorized where all of these various electric vehicles are. Yes, the electric vehicle sector is doing quite well. So really, really looking good at this one. It would have been a pretty good trade right through here. In fact, this is a good example of what I'm looking for with the market. So kind of let me show you this. So with the market, what you could see is, we're getting a little extended here. And what it do, right there, you can see price came down and tapped the hourly 50. The Moxie indicator was above 0. And that's exactly what I was guiding and showing that I want to see with the market itself. Same thing here. You can see then price found support at the 15-minute 50. The Moxie indicator was looking good, above 0. And you can just see it went up like that. So that one is looking fantastic. Now what else I'll say is that for right now, it does seem a little up there. This thing has gone vertical. It is outside of 30 ATR. It is outside of 30 ATR. It's very far away from the hourly 50, and even on the 15-minute time frame, it's pretty far away. So not that you need to get out or panic or anything like that, but it's probably not the greatest place to try and find an entry up here. So that's kind of where I'll say with that. Look for some sort of pullback, maybe look for some sideways movement, something like that to give you at least a better opportunity to get in. You don't want to be getting in up there. And if you are in, thank you, Thomas, so it's Chinese. That's what I thought. I knew it was at least over there in that area. And if you are in this, well, just be prepared that it may not just keep going straight up like this, that there's likely to be some sort of pullback and all that kind of stuff. And if we look at NEO, oh yeah, good. So MBS, so yeah, as far as Adobe prior to earnings swing trade entry, yeah, nice. It recovered sharply from a drop. We'll take a look at that one too. So NEO has been doing great. I mean, look at this thing. It looks like it is well on its way to that $40 price target that JP Morgan gave with its upgrade. Now, I don't know if that's going to be a hard target. I mean, what if it really does reach 40 bucks? Is that where everybody's going to sell because that's what they said was going to be their upgrade price target? That might be a thing. So I've told my subscribers I'm going to be selling some of this today, partly because I am going to be going on my road trip, so I won't be around. I could set some stops. I will set some stops because I do want to keep a a core position on something like this. But what I'm also seeing is it's just getting extended. It is going vertical. It's getting up there. Anytime price comes outside of the 30 ATR, it pulls back. Now again, not that that's the end of the trend, just that it's a good time to cash them in because they tend to pull back. Well, look at this thing. It is getting vertical. It is up there. It is outside of the 30 ATR. It is outside of 30 ATR on the hourly chart. It is really pulling away from the hourly 50, all that kind of stuff. But so far, we added more back here after the little dip and price got back on top of the hourly 50 and on top of the 15-minute 50 and the Moxie indicator was above 0. All these things were good and they followed the rules. Now, let's see if I can put my foot in my mouth, because then we can look at something like JKS. And, you know, some craziness over here back when the whole solar thing was going nuts. And you think, okay, well, this one was getting extended too. Extended, 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 but it just kept going. So there is always the possibility of that with NEO, with these electric car things. They are really hot, they're really on fire. It's very challenging to say, well, what do you do about it? The one thing I'll try and blend with this, so at least you guys have the information, is when you look at JKS, this thing did a really, really good job of actually pretty much staying in a channel. You can see this just stayed in a channel right there. And it did a good job following the 15-minute 50. It basically followed the 21 EMA on the hourly chart right there, the orange line. And where you could see where there was the blow off top is when price breaks that channel. What you can see is right here, it goes vertical. That's a blow off top. That is something to be aware of, because that's when it starts getting ridiculous. You get into this euphoria, and you know, we see this with the market too, because even with the market, if we go back and look right here, you can see it twice actually. Kind of zoom in on this. My computer's trying to crank out all this data, but you can see it started going like this and then went vertical, and then you can see this and went vertical. So anytime you get sort of that blow off top, just be aware. And it definitely makes me wonder about NEO and where we are, because that thing's going vertical. That is not doing what JKS and some of the other solars were doing. This thing has literally gone straight up. So just be a little careful. You know, it's great when we see things like this. Just try not to be too greedy. Have stops in place. Maybe take some off as you go up. As I said, I'm going to be taking some off. And you can always leave a rudder in case it keeps going. But more often than not, there are opportunities to get back in. You know, take some off at the top, wait for a pullback, get some in. Take some off the top, wait for a pullback, get back in. And these are one of those times where it's probably prudent to take a little bit off. All right, so ENPH. Long, we'll see what that one's looking like. Not much going on here yet. Fortunately, it's after earnings, because I don't like to trade earnings, so as long as we are talking after earnings, that's good. You know, overall, looks like it's kind of holding steady here, maybe waiting for the daily 50, the MOXY indicators above zero. We're starting to get into a squeeze, all that kind of stuff. But I'm not seeing anything yet. Like, it has not held the hourly 50. The MOXY indicator still below zero. It has not held the 15-minute 50. So for now, it doesn't look terrible, but I don't see a long entry because it's not holding any of these moving averages yet. And let's see, let's sidestep, and we'll go over to ADBE, Adobe. And Amvest, let's see what was going on with that. So prior to earnings, yeah, I mean, first of all, I don't like to trade earnings. But what we can see here, and this is similar to the ENPH that I was just discussing with Long, here is an inverse trampoline move. Here is price over the 50, while the MOXY indicator is below zero. That shouldn't exist. Price should not be over the 50 when the MOXY indicator is below zero. And again, for anybody who's just shown up, I'll let you guys know, like, okay, what is this MOXY indicator thing? Well, if you come over here to profitpilot.com and click on services, this is where you can find more information about my MOXY Mastery, which is my trade alert subscription. And then you can come over here, you can learn about the class and the indicator and all the other products that we have for sale for this. So if you like how I talk about this stuff and the view that the MOXY indicator gives, you guys can have it too. The other thing to note is I talk typically like you should not be trying to go long against a downtrending moving average, and that was that situation here. You much rather go parallel. You want to see when you want to go long when the moving average is also going long. And something like this, okay, Adobe, it's bouncing, great. I don't see an entry yet, other than the 15-minute time frame right there, where you could see price actually got over the uptrending 15-minute 50 with the MOXY indicator above zero. That's the only setup that I see. At this point, I'd be waiting for that same setup to exist and to show itself on the hourly time frame, because then I could take a little bit more, I'd be more, I'd rely on it more. I'd feel better about it. It would be stronger because it's a higher time frame setup. So that's what I'm looking for there. All right, then let's kind of step over. Let's look at some of the cannabis stuff, because there is a lot of cannabis talk when it comes to the election. There are more states starting to pass the legalization of it. And let's see if there are any opportunities. Now, They did spike. You can see there was a little bit of a run going into the election like this. Cool. Not stuff I'm wanting to trade right now. Like going into the election, not my thing, because look what it did. It popped up only to go right back to where it began. So something like these, you're going to have to be pretty quick. This also goes to show what I'm looking for with a lot of these other names that are popping, and why I'm not having FOMO and why I'm not chasing these things. And what you can see here is just like Adobe. Like look at Adobe, look at the market, and you see how they've had these really big moves up. And what you can also see is, look, they've gone outside of the third ATR, and what they do. For me to go long, I say I want to see price come back and bounce off of or find the hourly 50s for support. What has it done 2 days later? It has actually broken below the hourly 50. So if you weren't quick on something like this, or you were buying it just because it was over the hourly 50, you'd be losing money right now. And this is why I'm just not chasing the market. I'm not chasing things like Adobe. I'm waiting for them to pull back and actually test for support things like this in the hourly 50. They're just not there yet. I want to see something like this. Like this was a beautiful setup on the 15-minute time frame. Bounce off the 15-minute 50, the Moxie indicator above zero. I'm not seeing any of that on the hourly chart. Therefore, I wait. But these things are looking like they're kind of in a waiting pattern. We have earnings coming up. I like to trade after earnings, so I'm going to be waiting on that. Let's look at Cron. I imagine a lot of these are going to be looking the same. Yeah, Cron has been trying. It looks like these things are kind of just waiting in the wings. Again with earnings, so let's wait till after earnings. But I do like the development that price is now over the daily 50, and it seems to me as if they can eventually get past the daily 200, then they'll go someplace. I also do like the fact that the hourly 200 is starting to turn up, but again, it has not held any of these moving averages, so there has not been a trend. These have been very, very quick trades, up, down, up, down. Another one I'm looking at, VFF. Yes, merchant, yes, the red arrow and green arrows are part of the Moxie indicator. What they denote is when the Moxie indicator goes positive or negative. So that's the zero line. So when, and basically the Moxie indicator is a momentum based indicator. It's an energy indicator. So when you are over zero, you're positive, and when you're below zero, you're negative. And so that's where you can you get a lot of information from that. And what I wanted to do was I just kept noticing as I was building and designing the indicator, I was like, wow, when the indicator actually crosses from negative to positive, a lot of times there's the move. And same thing when it goes to the downside. You know, you want to be out when it goes to the downside. So that's very important. I wanted to translate that here so that you wouldn't have to like line it up with your eyes. That it actually would call attention to your eyes. You can see that here, even on the daily chart. There's your green arrow when the Moxie indicator crossed from negative to positive. VFF still also kind of chopping around again with earnings. So not only do we have election, we have earnings coming up. But it does look to me like here's a double bottom. You know, we are trying to get past the daily 50. Here's that double bottom on the hourly chart. There's the positive divergence, which I love divergence. That's how the Moxie indicator rules are at. And then you can see here, price seems to be sitting on the hourly 50 with the Moxie indicator above zero. This might be a pretty good trade. That is typically something that I look for. And then if you look here on the 15-minute, this appears to be a trampoline move as well. So a trampoline move is when price is below the 50, but the Moxie indicator is above zero. And we have that existing on the 15-minute time frame. And then as I said, price here is bouncing off the hourly 50 with the Moxie indicator above zero. That is what I'm looking for the market. That is what I'm looking for names like Adobe. That's what I look for to take a trade. So I'll have to decide if I want to do something about this. As I said, I'm personally going on a road trip, so I'm kind of not too bummed about missing out on some stuff. But if you guys want to be looking at something like VFF, I would want it to start to hold that moving average and start moving up. Then, let's see, I think APHA was another one that was on my list. Yeah, so Goku, I have. That's how I teach. That's why I have it out there. That's what I look for. You know, that's part of the class that I teach that you guys can go pick up. But yeah, I teach all of the details about it. You know, it's not a perfect situation, but I can't tell you. I mean, look at this. There's the signal. We're getting another signal. Here was a signal. There was a signal. And they work pretty well. So if we look at APHA, it had a big run up. I think it was a news-based thing, and then it came down on earnings. But when you see something like that, you keep an eye on it because it might be setting up again later. And for this one, kind of looks a lot like VFF. If this thing can continue to hold the hourly 50 with the Moxie indicator getting above zero, the daily already has its above zero, and it looks like price wants to stay over the daily 50. This could also be a trampoline move, price below the 50, the Moxie indicator generally above zero, and now we're back above the 15-minute 50. This looks like this might have some potential, and this is after earnings. This one we don't have to worry about earnings. So yeah, this one might be interesting to watch. Let's see, Hugo, good to see you. LMT. Nah, I can't say I see much here. A lot of these things, the market and a lot of tickers really rolled over and plunged going into the election because I think nobody wanted to be around for the election, right? They're like, yeah, I'm going to be pulling my money. I'm going to go cash because I don't know what's going to happen. And so that's why the market started going down. So what you can see here is I see this as price getting trapped underneath the daily 50. And then Goku, you can see here, there's the Moxie price trigger to the downside. You can also see here's the Moxie price trigger to the downside. So yeah, I feel that they are pretty darn accurate and they give you a pretty good heads up of something happening too. You could even see that on the daily chart. The Moxie indicator just kept bleeding and bleeding and bleeding off. And then I mix my rules with the Moxie indicator with moving averages, and you can see right here, price got stuck underneath the hourly 50. So all of this was telling me that there was a bearish setup on this. And yes, Isham, it can be used on the futures, it can be used on currency, Forex, whatever you want, it can be used. Some pairs if you're doing currency and some Forex or futures. Just understand that of course, with any stock, the indicator is going to do better on certain stocks than others. It usually tends to do with how well do they move, how choppy they are, that kind of thing. And there are certain pairs for Forex that Moxie works better with and doesn't work very well with on others. And as far as futures go, it's pretty good. It's just that there's more noise with futures because there are more hours in the trading day. So that's the only caveat that I'll say to that. But I've had subscribers send me screenshots about their futures trades using Moxie, and they're doing it down on the 2-minute, they're doing it on the daily, they're doing it on the hourly, and the same principles and rules that I teach are all still there even for futures. So LMT, cool, there was a good move up here. All of these things have been following the 15-minute time frame. There's price bouncing off the 15-minute 50. The Moxie indicator's above zero. That looked good. You can see it continued to bounce off the 15-minute 50. Great. At this point, I'd be concerned and looking for a pullback to then verify if this is going to go long, because you're running into the underside of the hourly 200. You are outside of the hourly third ATR. You're very extended. And on the daily chart, you're running right into the daily 50 and the daily 200 and this previous price area. And then you also still have the 8 below the 21. If this is going to keep going long, like if you're going to be looking for a more robust long setup, do the same thing that I'm looking for with the market. I want to see price come back down and test the hourly 50, and then you can go long from there. If it doesn't hold the hourly 50, well, then the trade is invalid. But that's why if you were doing something like this, count your good trade right here, and I personally would then reduce my position, wait for a pullback, and see if that pullback holds, and then go longer. All right, let me kind of catch up on what you guys are talking about. Isham, no, I used to have it on NinjaTrader, but no, I've kind of pulled away from that. We are working on getting it on TradingView. So we're working on packaging that right now. So we have it on Thinkorswim and TradingView. And then Hugo, as far as the trigger watch list, it's just something to have good. Like if you have public watch lists that like say Thinkorswim populates automatically for you, you can run it through there to see if there's anything. Hey, Moxie crossed 2 days ago or 5 days ago. Or if you have your own kind of category watch list, you can run the Moxie watch list through there, and you can say, a lot of things are, a lot of them have Moxie below zero, or hey, a lot of things have Moxie above zero. It's a good way to kind of get a feel for things, or if you sort them, you can find out, okay, which of my watch list has Moxie crossing above zero today and below zero today. And it's a good way to just, sort a whole bunch of names real quick to see if anything comes to the surface. And Michelle, no, you didn't really miss it. I don't go into too much detail about that, but the Moxie indicator is based on momentum. That's what we're trying to do is, put into a visual way, a visual graphical display of how is momentum moving, how is energy moving, and how much gas is in the tank, and when are we getting some negative divergences. So one of those negative divergences that I can show you, like space, look at this. You can see you had price went higher, but it did it on less energy. When you see something like that, you got to think about that. Like, okay, there's an issue there. And then you can see right here, price was going up and the Moxie indicator was starting to go down. So those are the things that kind of tell you about the internal momentum, like energy, how much gas is in the tank, that kind of stuff, and acceleration. So space, this is something I'm really, really keeping a close eye on. I'm very interested in getting back into this, but I don't see anything yet. Earnings are coming up. I don't want to be trading earnings. There has been a little bit of a 15-minute setup. There could be some more upside, but I'm going to keep waiting. This is not set up yet. The daily chart is still a long ways away from being ready, and I'm going to give this one more time to really do anything. So not much going on there. And then if we look at Max R, that is another space one that I really want to be in. We did a great job trading this one. Oh, and then Hugo, yeah, so my road trip, I started in Austin, Texas, and then I drove to Arizona because I'm from Arizona. I've got a lot of friends and family here that I wanted to see. And then I'm going to be driving with my brother-in-law who just came down into town yesterday. He's going to be my co-driver and buddy along the way. And we're going to go to California and then straight north up to Washington. So we're going to go see the redwoods. We're going to go surfing in Santa Cruz. I don't know if there's much for us to do in Oregon because we've been to Oregon a lot. All right, so then if we're looking at Max R, the only thing I've really seen is price kind of coming into the daily 50, finding some support there. But again, other than a 15-minute setup, like right there, price holding the 15-minute time frame, this is still not set up. We have earnings coming up, and we have price moving up across a downtrending hourly 50, and the Moxie indicator is below 0. So I don't see a setup. There is potential risk to the downside when it comes to Max R, and yeah, that's kind of what I'm concerned about. Yeah, Hugo, I know I'm covering all the red and blue states. So this might be real interesting to just, I don't know, talk to and interact with people and just see what's going on out there. Because since I've been here in Arizona, speaking with my friends, I've been learning about everybody's experiences with COVID and how that's been going. And it's been just everyone I know has had such a wide range of experiences with COVID. Okay, so JD, go figure. I don't know if any of my subscribers are here or any of the simpler members are here, but I was in the training room yesterday, because yesterday was Tuesday. Nope, I take that back. I was at the end of day trading for simpler, and I actually was mentioning JD because what you can see is price here was kind of a previous price support area, and then you can see price popped and then came back down and sat on that previous support. And I actually covered this yesterday. I said, hey, I think this is something we need to keep an eye on. Yeah. It's unfortunate, I will say, because this is a good move. It's unfortunate that the elections were happening, and I literally just didn't want to be putting any money on anything. So even though this thing has worked out, I wasn't in a position to take it because of earnings. That aside, what I can show you is, look at that. If you look there, price got on top of the 15-minute 50, and the Moxie indicator was over 0. That's a good trade. And even on the hourly chart, you can see the 8 was over the 21, and price bounced right off of the hourly 50. And then you can even see here, price bounced off the daily 50. Yeah, I mentioned this one yesterday. I said this is something that we really need to keep an eye on. Bummer. Yeah, that one moved today. Darn election. There's no way I was going to be taking that going into the election. So we'll see if there's an opportunity to get into something like that one on JD. Oh, and yeah, Hugo, of course I pull back and be tradable in Neo, but you got to find it. We have to wait for it. Clearly there's no pullback right now. Oh yeah, hey guys, good to see you. I'm seeing it. Thanks. I always appreciate it when members always raise their hands and say, "Yeah, I'm here," because I have several hundred subscribers, and I don't know all the names because not everybody's in the chat box. And so when I get people here on Facebook, and then we get names and just a different group of people who engage, then that's where I can kind of learn a few more people. All right, now Codex. I don't know, a little hesitant about Codex because it was one of my biggest winners during its uptrend. I made a lot of money off of this stock. and so did the subscribers. But it fell from grace. There was some bad news surrounding it. It's hard to say if this thing's going to have a second wind to it. Keep in mind there are earnings coming up, so anything I say goes out the window when it comes to earnings because it's just crazy. You know, you never know what earnings do. They totally blow out your technical analysis. What I will say is price here has bounced off of the daily 50. The Moxie indicator is a little lagging, so we need to be aware of that. And then it looks to me, I know this doesn't, for those who don't know my style, but like basically there's your double bottom. You know, here's your leg, here's your heel, here's the arch of your foot, there's the ball of your foot, there's your elf toe. And what we can see here also, for those of you who have taken my class. Yeah, Thomas, good to see you. This is a 50, 200, 50 setup. So those of you who have taken my class, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And for now, that was also a trampoline move. Price below the 50, Moxie indicator above 0, and you can see price then got back on top of the 15-minute 50. So if something like this is going to work, I want to see price stay over the hourly 50, and I want to see price stay over the daily 50, and I want to see the Moxie indicator keep moving up, and I'd love to see price continue moving up in an uptrend like this. But just keep in mind earnings. You know, anything goes for earnings. And also just keep in mind Codex. As I said, it kind of fell from grace. The question is, can it keep going? It's kind of like when we talk about the electric vehicle space, and we talk about Nikola. If I saw a setup in Nikola, are we going to want to take it? It's got a lot of baggage. It's got a lot of history and a lot of baggage that we're not really sure if it can overcome yet. Codex might be that situation, so just be careful with that. You know, there was a reason that Codex fell real hard, and it might still be dogging it, so just be aware of that. Okay, guys, I'm going to be leaving off on that. Let me just go here because sounds interesting. Shorts are stuck. JCOM, maybe. It's kind of an interesting one. I'll put that on the list and see if there's something we can do with it at some point. But guys, thank you to everybody else who are members and Moxie members coming over here to Facebook and YouTube and Instagram to come say hi and be part of this thing. But that's going to be my quick little half-hour segment. I'm still watching the elections. That's going to be some crazy stuff going on, and who knows. I'm just not in a real mood to get too antsy about jumping in the market. We've had a couple good moves this week, and I'm looking for a pullback. Therefore, that means that right now, for me, it's not a ripe opportunity to step into the market, and so I want to wait until I have price come back down, test these things for support, and then I'll be more inclined to do something. And my guess is that's probably not going to happen until sometime next week, which also probably goes along with hopefully the election being more decided by then. So we'll just have to deal with it, ride it out, and see where we go. But thanks again, everybody. Come check me out at profitpilot.com if you are interested in Moxie Indicator or my alert service and what we do there. So thanks again, everyone. Take care, and I'll talk to you next week.